Hello and welcome back to Digital Assets Daily. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in your corner of the world. Tonight I have a lot of information I want to discuss as quickly as possible, and I'm going to try my best to stay focused and on track. So bear with me this evening as I wanted to explain a lot of conversation. Tonight is a great example. I was going to do a simple video on, for example, let's go from the headline. Sweden joins ECB's real-time settlement platform. Electronic payments made in Swedish krona can now be settled on the settlement platform for instant payments. But having so much research and connections, it was really impossible because there was a lot of room for options and possibilities. And here on this channel, we do not want to overlook anything. We do not want to do that here. We feel that you deserve to make your own choice, but from the content and information given to you as accurate as possible and as available as possible. Point of tonight's video, we cannot search anywhere under Ripple without finding Stellar. Cannot search anywhere for XRP without finding XLM. And again, as we research, going back now, the years that we've been here, and knowing the knowledge we have today, the focus again may have started out in one direction, but has narrowed down to another over time. Both of these, XRP and XLM, as investors, are amazing investments, and we're going to explain throughout this video. Number one, the focus of XRP is enterprise, institution, and wholesale. To me, that has to have the higher value because you're moving larger amounts of value. XLM tends to be focused on the unbanked, underbanked, and the retail area of finance and banking. Both of these can do both of them, and they can each do what the other does nearly. But the point being, as we've shared many times on Twitter, they are in different lanes and they are not competition. In my opinion, how I tend to say it many times, especially to those of you who I have multiple conversations with, whether it's direct messaging or openly in interviews or host on other shows, or I should say a guest on other shows, we tend to say that they work hand in hand, they're partners. You know, time will tell if it's legitimate partners or if it's just that they're focused on different lanes to complete a financial transaction. In the financial world, you have wholesale, which is the institutional money. You have retail, which peer-to-peer, like you and me money. And then you have cross-border, like transactions, cross-border remittance. To me, even though there are three categories, I tend to think of them as two. You have your wholesale and your retail, and within those you still have your cross-border. So even though there are official three categories, I tend to narrow them down to two. And there is nothing better than the XRP and XLM for those transactions, or I should say the RippleNet and the Stellar platform. Okay, enough of intro for that. I spent a little more time for the new investors, as we have a lot of them, and they've requested a lot more detail. And again, remember, if you've heard everything here, you're still part of the 1% to 2% of the global population who are even aware. All right, as we get into this article, the European Central Bank, the ECB, the Eurosystem, and Sveriges Riksbank concluded a cooperation agreement today offering Sweden access to the Eurosystem's target instant payment settlement to the TIPS, as it's labeled, to support the Swedish instant payment service called Riksinst. The ECB said in a statement today, based on this agreement, electronic payments made in Swedish krona can be settled on the settlement platform for instant payments operated by the Eurosystem, it explains. Payments will be cleared under the agreement as of May 2022, 22nd. The TIPS enables providers of payment services to transfer and settle their customers' funds in real time, around the clock, every day of the year, and it settles the payments in central bank money. Central bank money, as you've probably heard, like CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, is the conversation that's happening right now globally. And real time, around the clock, every day of the year, we call that like the 365 24/7. Or the 24/7 365, however you feel like saying it, it's all going to be the same thing. Again, the XRP XLM, the Ripple, the Stellar, and it can settle that constantly with its hands tied behind its back with ease. Significant daily volume. Sweden is one of the most advanced European countries in terms of use of payments, of instant payments with significant daily volumes. Currently, the daily average number of instant payments in Sweden is 1.5 million per day and is the highest one in the EMEA compared to Sweden's population. The agreement is being signed by ECB President Christine Lagarde, the governors of the Eurosystem's 19 national central banks, and Sverige's Riksbank governor Stefan Ingves. In crisis times, this agreement is a good example of strong cooperation between central banks in Europe, according to ECB President Christine Lagarde. Our real-time settlement platform is a pivotal contribution to Europe's endeavors to satisfy citizens' increasing demand for faster, cheaper, and convenient payment services without compromising on security, Lagarde said. And we know that Lagarde is a direct acquaintance of the Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse, as they have seen more than a few times arm in arm going on stage together. So she's a big proponent of the Ripple executive team and XRP. All right, as we get into the next, we have ECB launches TIPS, allegedly Ripple instant payment services. I'm not going to go too far into this. The headline was enough to support the previous article. But again, all of these articles will be available in the description below if you would like to further research them. And I would suggest doing so if you have the time, because you'll be blown away as a new investor and reinforced and reminded as a long-term investor. The new service in RIX for instant payments. As we get into this article, the Riksbank will complement RIX with a new service, the RIXinst, enabling payments to be settled between banks in real time, around the clock, all year round, 24/7, 365 in central bank money. The Riksbank has concluded an agreement with the Eurosystem on using the Target Instant Payment Settlement TIPS platform that enables this. Payments in RIX 24/7, 365. And what were we just saying as the definition of what XRP tends to do, as the Ripple guys have constantly promoted it? It is enabling real-time settlements around the clock, year-round, 24/7, 365. So you can see what is the best option for this would be Ripple using XRP, or these guys using RippleNet, delivering it across XRP. Because again, a next thing that you have is settled between banks. So now you have your institution, which XRP is focused on. All right, there's a lot more into this, but I don't want to spend a whole lot of time because we just covered like the most important aspect of that article. And here we have again, RIX is being developed to enable around-the-clock payments. The RIX system is open on weekdays between 7 and 1800 hours. When RIX is closed, no payments are processed and banks have to wait until RIX opens again before payments can be settled. In order to meet future requirements and ensure that payments can continue to take place safely and efficiently, the Riksbank is adding a new service, the RIXinst, to the existing RIX system. This new service will enable payments to be settled between banks in real time. Again, when it's between banks, there you have your institution again. So you got to pay attention to these key phrases and key words, as you know, for your investment. And as we speak here, XRP has been our favorite forever. Even though we've come in through Bitcoin, through research, we've fallen in love with XRP before it was even available for retail investors to purchase. So we've been following them for a long time. And we have crossed, we got into Stellar, and then I'm not going to go into that history of that, but it was a short thing over a few years. We thought it was falling apart, so we got out, and it was good timing because, it just tanked down to 3 cents or really low threes. And so we got back in after a lot of research, finding them after not much news. Now there is tons of articles, and we're connecting them back to Ripple and XRP, but finding they are not competition. They're not even focused on the same thing. For me, as an investor and in my research, it's impossible, especially knowing that there is no competition between the two. It's impossible to like Stellar and not like Ripple. It's impossible to like Ripple and not like Stellar when you realize they're working different aspects, almost completing the system together, and are not competition with one another. We've stated that many times in many articles, even in videos directly from those involved in the industry. So here we have it again, focusing that enables the settlement of instant payments in Swedish krona, SEK, the central bank money. So we wanted to bring up a lot of these articles and connect them back again to the options of Ripple or Stellar. Efforts for smoother international payments, and as it states, the international payments need to be streamlined. Some of these payments are from, or let's start from the beginning. What started this is a current article, but we are reinforcing that with all the articles we need from 2018, 2019 to current to make our point clear, just for clarity and credibility. The efforts for smoother international payments. A number of banks and innovative companies abroad and in Sweden are taking various initiatives to make international payments easier. One example is the utility settlement coin, the USC, which is run by 13 major international banks, and the USC can be seen as a bank-issued stablecoin intended for financial transactions. And just for a quick brief there, the my mind is running ahead of my tongue. My apologies. The utility settlement coin, we've heard again, referred back to XRP and XLM constantly in our research. And the bank-issued stablecoin, as we referred, this is directly talking about central banks. The two that we've shown are labeled directly from the central banks as a bank-issued stablecoin are Ripple and Stellar. And we've shared all of these in previous videos and many times on Twitter. The bank's aim is to launch USC in 2020. Another example is a collaboration between a number of banks in Denmark, Finland, and Sweden called P27, which has the ambition of creating a joint Nordic infrastructure for payments in Swedish and Danish currency, and possibly also in Norwegian krona and euros. A further example is provided by Swift Service GPI, Global Payments Innovation, which is a new standard for international payments that contributes towards increasing the speed, transparency, and traceability of international payments. And I'll move forward without losing focus because it's easy to go into a whole other conversation on Swift. We'll save that for another time, as we've discussed it many times previously. For example, Ripple has created a blockchain-based system primarily for interbank payments. And again, that connects back to what we were saying before. When you see the bank-to-bank, Ripple is primarily for those interbank, which is enterprise, institution, and wholesale. Like a class, I'm going to try and pound that in you guys' head so you can realize the opportunity that is here. But again, to me, that makes Ripple's investment in XRP massive for us as they're doing the work because they need that to succeed. And they're very successful. Just rated a $10 billion company, now coming out with their IPO, which is going to enable them more finance to support all of this on an even greater level. So for me personally, as an investor, I've always known that the IPO was coming out from Ripple. It was from day one. That was one of the things stated that I'd seen. It was a plan, a goal, a hope, a dream, and now it's here. I'm not personally going to get into the IPOs. I really am more excited with the currency and the technology that is involved with it. But again, here you have Ripple, the best alternative for that. Nothing can handle its speed. Because of its speed, it has the safety and the security. And because of the speed, it also has that minimal volatility, which again, it's the volatility that increases the price for people who are used to sending money abroad, international payments, etc. It's through those remittance that instead of paying $200 or $20 or $50, the Ripple, many times, the places that are connected to that, like I believe it's Walmart to World, and I believe the RIA, and through MoneyGram, I mean, you're just looking at a couple of dollars, like, what is it, under $1 or maybe $2, $5 versus 20, 50, or 100. That's significant. It doesn't sound like much to you if you're staying in America and your family's in America, but if you were sending money abroad, and some of these countries aren't as generous or as financially successful as America, then every penny counts. Literally, every penny counts. So that's something to consider about how amazing this investment opportunity is. Sweden takes a step closer to the launch of the Swedish CBDC. Swedish central bank Riksbank has commenced the testing of the world's maiden central bank digital currency, Swedish CBDC, called the krona, on Wednesday, reported Reuters. The use of cash is gradually witnessing a decline as rapid technological advancements in electronic payment systems continue to gain pace. The CBDCs, which are essentially digital forms of traditional money, only backed by the central government, adequately address the pain points of both the cryptocurrency industry and the conventional monetary system. Thus, it came about several unique stablecoin-focused projects, starting with the Facebook Libra. China immediately joined the race by announcing its extensive digital yuan project, followed by countries like Japan, Britain, and South Korea. Now, Sweden becomes the first country to get the project underway officially. Some great posts here. If you, again, have the time, here's a few: Anchorage XRP, Ripple XRP, very decentralized. Feel free to click those links also. If you do, go into the description below, and you will see the links to every article we are discussing tonight and in every video. We do include that because we want you informed, period. So we do include that just for your additional research and reading, just for knowledge. The announcement of krona, or the digital form of Swedish krona, was marked as a step towards wholeheartedly embracing the continuous evolving economic and financial landscape. The Riksbank initiated Swedish CBDC project guarantees people an efficient and seamless transition from traditional banknotes to the digital payment system, at the same time keeping the value of the money intact. The initiative aims to demonstrate to people how a digital mode of payment in the form of the krona can transform their daily lives. According to the announcement, when Swedish CBDC comes into issuance and distribution, it will streamline everyday banking operations, which include payments processing, the deposits, the withdrawals, and asset management through electronic processing. The krona payments will be as fast and convenient as sending a text on mobile, Riksbank confirmed. Although it is not yet official when the country will be ready to launch its digital krona, a currency being developed in collaboration with the Irish technology giant Accenture, and what will be its impact on the overall Swedish economy, it is believed that if there were a country to make a breakthrough in this field, it would be Sweden, as it is the world's least dependent country on cash. And again, here we love the Accenture because, again, they've stated in many articles we've shared in their support of Ripple and their support of Stellar. So again, when you see this stuff like that information tonight, it's really hard to determine without them officially choosing and stating it in their article. Is it going to be Ripple or will it be Stellar? Or in this case, as investors, XRP, XLM. I want to get into this article because it's going to explain a lot to the new people. And I've had a request for the past 2 weeks to start sharing and explaining from XRP investors why I keep mentioning XLM. So I think it is now going to be as much as I can include just to show there is no competition and how massive the opportunity is there as well. My opinion, do I have a favorite of the two? It will always be, as long as I'm invested, it will be XRP. I still believe with all of my research and confidence that XRP would still have to have the higher price, but I absolutely believe the two of them will be extremely successful. Stellar is looking to break into the world of blockchain technologies with financial applications, and it seems these last few days have been highly successful for the development team behind this interesting blockchain, which is already occupies a well-deserved 6th place in the top 10 of the global market cap. The last achievement in Stellar's list comes with the strategic partnership with IBM to develop a Stellar-powered payment solution that aims to compete directly with the solutions designed by other initiatives such as Ripple's Xcurrent and Xrapid. Even though news articles say that, again, they said that the Stellar partnership was created out of a dispute between the Ripple executives and founders, etc. I'm not sure I entirely agree with that, just like I don't entirely agree that these were ever competition, because as of today, even if they started that way, they are not, and we've clearly shown that. Again, this is a little bit older article. I believe it was 2018, but I have to share just to make sure the new investor understands what's happening. As we continue moving forward, this will now be on the timeline as we have a great deal of information to share. Sending money across borders today requires a series of intermediaries for both clearing and settlement, each adding time and cost to the process. With IBM Blockchain WorldWire, clearing and settlement with finality happens in near real time. The solution uses digital assets to settle transactions, serving as an agreed-upon store of value exchange between parties, as well as integrating payment instruction messages. It all means funds can now be transferred at a fraction of the cost and time of traditional correspondent banking. Previously, IBM had announced its interest in using the Stellar blockchain to create a stablecoin that would be backed 1-for-1 with the US dollar. To this end, they had signed an agreement with a startup called Stronghold to exploit the potential of blockchain technologies in a new mode of payment processing. And everything in tonight is exactly here for a reason. From the first article to the very last article, there is a theme, and you will start to notice as we continue moving forward. Now we've shown XRP, we've shown XLM, we've shown Ripple, we've shown Stellar, all connected so far with all of these. And as we discussed in another article, was the Stronghold. We're explaining here that Stronghold runs on Stellar, which is XLM, and there is a lot more to come. So stay tuned, especially if you are a new investor. This is going to be a lot of knowledge for you tonight in one slam-packed show. What we really want to do is enable all sorts of digital transactions, networks to settle their transactions with digital fiat currency on the same blockchain networks, said Jesse Lund, IBM's head of blockchain services for financial institutions, in an interview for CoinDesk. As a new investor, I will update quickly. Jesse Lund has left IBM, but in a recent interview, he said he was very excited to see that IBM remained on the same track and continued moving forward with his vision of Stellar and IBM the same way it had begun. It is still moving forward currently today. He said he was very excited with that. And if this video wasn't already so long, I would have put in that video for you to see. One of the most critical peculiarities is that neither IBM nor the Stellar Development Foundation had made any significant promotions. In fact, it could be said that beyond any advertising, they expect their product to speak for itself. The Stellar community received this news with optimism that Stellar Lumens XLM is the best performing crypto in the top 10 of the global market cap during the last 7 days. There's still much information to be revealed. That product that could become the Stellar-powered main competitor of Ripple's XRapid will be presented in a demo next month, according to Finextra. And again, even though this article states that, currently they are absolutely in no competition with one another. Here in this article, we have start developing with Stronghold plus Facebook Libra. It is Libra stated without certainty from the senators, congressmen, from Libra itself, from Brad Garlinghouse, that even Libra, the mention, has moved all of these currencies as the industry, as the technology, and as the investor 3 years ahead of schedule. Thanks to Libra, everything has moved forward to what it is today. Okay, as we get into the next article, we have Sweden's Riksbank begins the testing phase of their CBDC in partnership with Accenture. So let's get into this article just a little bit. We have Sweden has made a major stride towards entering a testing phase for its e-krona. Riksbank has apparently come out of with its central bank digital currencies and put it through a testing phase to try and explore use cases where the public can use e-krona. The central bank digital currencies, like other digital assets like Bitcoin, work based on DLT, or blockchain technology, the distributed ledger technology. And that is very important because the two major projects on DLT are the Stellar and Ripple, or XRP and XLM. I also want to get into this because, but unlike Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies whose governance is decentralized amongst the public using a P2P network, CBDCs are governed by the central bank and is simply an extension of the fiat currency issued by the central bank in a digital format. And as you click on the P2P, what you have here is former Apple employee hired by Santander to lead the P2P payments. I know I'm getting a little stretched out here, but I'm trying to come back in and make a point here. As you have Santander, we already know, is working with Ripple, as we've known that the Apple Card, Apple Pay is also working with Ripple and Visa. We've shown in other videos a slight connection back to Stellar as well. So the other big thing is the Apple Pay, Apple IBM deal. As we know, all the Apple Pay, Apple Card, etc., obvious Apple, connected back to IBM, which runs on Stellar. The other thing too, notably, these reports were revealed by Riksbank reticence to base any such digital currency on a blockchain or distributed ledger technology, DLT, which Riksbank labeled an inefficient technology. But its 2018 report nonetheless stated that an e-krona should be able to interact with the DLT solutions. So another thing here I want to bring up in regards to the DLT and the obvious Swedish solutions, cryptocurrencies are not money. Another new trend is the new cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple, straight from the BIS.org. You have it listed in there. And it just goes on. You can feel free to read, talking about the new regulations will entail a gradual adaptation of Swedish payment services to EU standards, still falling in line with the discussion we're having in this video. Sweden's central bank starts testing its digital currency e-krona. Let me check real quick my notes. Okay. The Central Bank of Sweden has begun testing its digital currency e-krona. Consulting giant Accenture is working with the Riksbank on the pilot project. The pilot will run until the end of February 2021. And we've gotten into many conversations with Accenture. The consulting giant Accenture is working with the Riksbank on the pilot project, which aims to show the how an e-krona could be used for the general public. Built using the R3's Corda network, which we'll bring back up here in a few minutes. which ran until the end of February 2021. It could extend further as there is a maximum agreement period of 7 years. I think we'll leave it at that. And then as we get into Riksbank on the DLT, we have here the scalability of the krona. For example, distributed ledger technology, the DLT, could be utilized when and if the technology is considered appropriate. An e-krona platform should be constructed so that different technologies can interact as much as possible. And there are a handful of DLTs. According to a preliminary assessment, both e-krona models discussed in Chapter 2, value-based and register-based, can be developed using traditional, tried, and tested technology based on central databases with DLT. With regard to DLT, including blockchain technology, this is a relatively new and untried technology and does not yet have any application similar to the e-krona described in the report. Again, there's many times of discussion with the DLT. So as we get into the DLT, we have Ripple and Stellar discussed on this. Stellar is a not-for-profit, where Ripple is a for-profit. Big difference between the two of them. And Stellar focuses on banking, micropayments, and remittances for people without access to the formal financial sector, or who have access but at a high cost. And Stellar has been operating since 2014. Then we have here arguably the validation systems of Ripple and Stellar. Again, the reason I'm showing you this is I want you to see that in my research I cannot separate them. They're working side by side and hand in hand and not competition. Here we have the Stellar Development Foundation as a not-for-profit foundation, provides greater access and inclusion by connected people. Again, to the low-cost financial services. And again, throughout all of this, there's the highlighting, and I'm not sure if you're paying attention to your screen or just listening as you're working and jogging, but again, you have here over and over. The big difference between the two, in my opinion, is Stellar Consensus Protocol, SCP, Maziris 2016, utilizes a federated Byzantine agreement that allows more universal access akin to the internet as a way to interact among strangers. But aptly named Byzantine General's problem is an illustrative and comes with distributed computing, but it also has a smart contract capabilities. But again, the Byzantine agreement is the major difference between Stellar and Ripple. We'll click through a few more of these. And again, Stellar, like Ripple, can transfer value across virtually any object, e.g. creating fiat money tokens that are then cashed out. Stellar can also transfer the tokens of others who wish to design their own platform with their own coin, linking to Stellar for value transfers. And without making this video amazingly longer than it already is, we know that WireX has partnered with Stellar to make 24, maybe 26 stable coins. And again, we've already shown this Stronghold is a USD-backed stable coin that runs on the Stellar system. So again, I mean, we can continue a few more examples. This again is the basis of secure multi-party computation. Ripple and Stellar are in this language distributed consensus protocols, but with identified nodes, which Narayanan distinguishes from Bitcoin, where nodes are anonymous, and so he does not want to refer to their tokens as cryptocurrencies. Another clear definition of distributed ledgers. And again, here we have notably the trade does not require a larger consensus protocol the way Bitcoin, Stellar, Ripple, and others do. Another thing too, we have the Thai MTO then initiates a transaction for Allen by submitting the order to Stellar through the Velo network, converting Thai bot tokens to Cambodian riel. tokens. And another thing we've shared with the BIS, the Bank for International Settlements, the Augustin spoke directly and stated how they've had a very good success in Cambodia for CBDCs. It was a major part of that. So again, I find all of this is very relevant, and it is very long, but there's a lot of information and knowledge that you will learn tonight as a new investor. Another thing I want to focus on here, cryptocurrencies called third generation coins are increasing in supporters and development rate. One of them that leads the way of crypto 3.0 is IOTA, which comes with many characteristics, making it very respected around the place. Decoding the evolution of blockchain, the third generation blockchain may be a step in the right direction, but whether it will become a definitive platform for the future remains to be seen. And how they're stating these third generation blockchain and crypto, we also have, let's go down to the list here. So that's really all we need from this article. As we scroll down, we're going to find, this is the section, I believe it's a little bit lower, so let's keep going down just a moment. And we're still scrolling. Let's see, I guess it's a little further down. And then we're going to find with these, there it is. I thought I highlighted, but I wasn't quite sure. Currently, we are witnessing a new set of blockchain platforms and networks based on DAG, the direct acrylic graph technology. There exist a number of DAG-based blockchains such as Hashgraph, IOTA, and Stellar. There you have it from those currencies there. And then the next article, we have an eKrona. eKrona is OTA-based eKrona cryptocurrency to be launched by Sweden. eKrona is a Nordic P2P, peer-to-peer, person-to-person digital cryptocurrency that uses script POW and offers fast international transactions. Sweden is building its own cryptocurrency, eKrona, and it seems that IOTA and Stellar IBM are the short list, but not nano currency. And again, here you have IOTA and Stellar IBM. Once you've learned, basically, if it discusses IBM, it's really on the blockchain level discussing Stellar. You have it there, as we share many times over and over and over again. This is the last article, which is really going to, it's 2 years ago, but it gives so much information. I think it really pulls everything that we've discussed tonight back together. So I'm going to go into this article. Enterprise blockchain tech war gets ugly with R3. R3, the company founded by a consortium of banks, is the subject of significant negative press this week. The one-sided commentary contradicts the feedback Ledger Insights is hearing from people in the enterprise blockchain space. In fact, R3's technology has the potential to dominate in some sectors, and it's already starting to happen. Why the negativity is the question. Last year, the company raised $107 million USD from a consortium of banks, and a week ago, another $15 million was injected into the company. This was likely the spark for the speculation. R3 has developed one of the leading enterprise blockchain software protocols, Corda, and we know Corda is basically using Ripple's XRP. Technically, Corda is not a blockchain. It's a distributed ledger technology. It's DLT. And again, as we've discussed here, the major DLT is Stellar and Ripple, the XLM and XRP. The reason I wanted to finish up with this article, it connects everything back, explaining that is DLT through the R3 Corda. But the company is perceived as riding the coattails of the blockchain hype, and the vision encapsulated in the original blockchain, Bitcoin, was the ability to have trustless transactions without parties like banks. Bitcoin was unveiled at the height of the financial crises. The bank bailouts and massive government liquidity injections have seen the major banks prosper, and banks own R3. The VHS comparison. The Corda technology is currently in the top 3 enterprise blockchain offerings, and in some segments, particularly banking and insurance, it's arguably Number 1, Corda's in-house software team is exceptional and more than highly regarded, but the best team and best technology doesn't always win. The Betamax versus VHS comparison comes up repeatedly in blockchain discussions. Betamax was the better technology, but it was also too expensive, a significant flaw. Here's the rhetorical question: what's the best way to stall a startup that's making headway? What's their Achilles heel? Enterprise blockchain competitors. Now, in this section, there are several technology options for enterprise blockchain software, but only a few are widely used. The top 3 are R3's Corda, Hyperledger Fabric, and Ethereum. Now, doesn't that sound familiar? This is from 2 years ago. And what have we been discussing the past 5-6 months now? That we found in all the CBDCs R3 Corda, Hyperledger Fabric, and Ethereum. What you have here is XRP, XLM, and Ethereum. Ripple and Stellar are prominent platforms for tokenization, and in banking, Digital Asset and Axoni are also players. JP Morgan's version of Ethereum, Quorum, is also popular through rumors of the bank's plans to offload it might dampen adoption. The bank has been piloting loan issuance using Quorum, and IHT Market is working on a Quorum syndicated loan solution. The syndicated loan product may compete with the Finastra Fusion LenderCom platform based on Corda, which went live with 10 banks in April. Currently, LenderCom is back office focused, but there are ambitious plans to move into secondary market trading. Beyond banking and talking to enterprises over the last 3 months, Ledger Insights found that many corporates started on Ethereum, but some moved on Hyperledger Fabric and Corda. And again here, just so we can break it down as we've done in research, for the new people, really what you're seeing is Ethereum. They start on Ethereum, but move to XLM and XRP. Hyperledger Fabric is an open source that the big original contributor was IBM Fabric and is still IBM's primary blockchain software. And as we've discussed, is IBM's primary blockchain software is the Stellar system. Corda has the potential to be number 1. And despite the startup R3 going toe-to-toe with IBM, they've managed to make significant headway, including outside their original banking focus. Corda seems to be the platform of choice for insurance. EY and Guardtime created a maritime insurance platform, InsureWave, which is now in production. This is one of the very few live enterprise blockchain deployments. InsureWave's first client is Maersk, a long-time and ongoing IBM client. 2 large consortia dominate insurance. B3I boasts as shareholders many of the world's largest insurers and reinsurers, including Swiss Re, Munich Re, Zurich, and Allianz. Initially, they started with Ethereum, but for some time, they've worked with IBM and Hyperledger Fabric. Again, that is the Stellar system. They've not yet announced a switch to Corda, but at the recent blockchain and insurance summit, it appeared to be common knowledge. Again, Corda uses XRP. The other big insurance consortium is the US-based Riskblock. The alliance supports the 3 main blockchain technologies, but it has a primary blockchain, which is currently using Ethereum. Again, no announcement yet, but there are strong rumors of a plan to move to Corda. There are at least 5 other consortia or companies working on Corda insurance applications. In trade credit, numerous companies are targeting the segment in 4 significant consortia. 2 consortia are using Corda and 2 IBM clients using the Hyperledger Fabric. Again, you have XRP and XLM, or the Stellar system, which uses XLM. Why is Corda popular? Question. People repeatedly mention 3 reasons for adopting Corda. Firstly, privacy and permissions are crucial in business. Banks are super competitive and they don't want to leak information to rivals. Many like the flexibility of Corda's control over permissions. And all blockchain software is relatively immature. The second feedback is that Corda is more mature than some of its competitors. Java is the dominant language for developers working in enterprises. Blockchain software tends to use less mainstream languages. Corda uses Kotlin, Fabric uses Go, and Ethereum supports several languages, but uses Solidity for smart contracts. So the third benefit is that Corda's Kotlin is similar to Java, so a company doesn't have to hire new staff. While R3 might argue its interoperability design is crucial and the topic has come up in conversation, it is not yet perceived as a leading benefit. In the negative commentary, this particular paragraph in Fortune's story is the trigger for this article. In this competition to create a blockchain platform for companies, skeptics say R3 has its work cut out for it. A big reason they say is because the company has been unable to attract a critical mass of developers to build out its Corda software. A lack of developers could be fatal to software projects because it can result in a dearth of applications and create doubt among customers about its staying power. This comment could be valid for a public project like Ethereum, but is less relevant for software targeted at enterprises. And to the non-technical, this makes it sound like Corda is a dud. A common analogy in blockchain is that platforms like Corda and Fabric are similar to phone operating systems, but honestly, they really are, because it is based off of the telecommunications system for this new technology. So for example, like Apple's proprietary iOS and Google's open source Android, it's probably true that the main contributors to open source Corda, the operating system, and the R3 team, and they don't have a vast number of external contributors. So as a new investor, remember Apple, remember Android, and remember Google, because you're going to see that connected to everything. And Google is also an investor in the startup of Ripple and Stellar, which is pretty amazing because Google doesn't invest in anything it doesn't think can be very successful. And that could be a pro and a con. With too many contributors, there's an element of too many cooks, and a single company can provide stronger leadership. It could be one of the reasons why Corda is a little more mature. Were R3 to abandon Corda, then the small number of contributors would be an issue. On your phone, you also have apps like Facebook or WhatsApp sitting on the top of the operating system. This is where, contrary to the Fortune comment, and as already illustrated, Corda is doing well in enterprises. The reality is most big businesses using Corda are likely to use the enterprise version, not the open source version, and large companies need the support that comes with licensed products. Conclusion to this article is Ledger Insights isn't in a position to speculate on some of the other Fortune comments about a shortage of cash and free spending mentality, though many have deep-pocketed investors, and it's really a bad thing. The issue is this Fortune article omitted a key fact. R3 and Corda seem to be doing rather well selling to enterprise clients, and I would agree, because the major thing with enterprise is going to be your XRP. And let's see if I can finish off. Sorry for the fast scroll upward, but I wanted to end it off with a reminder here. The top three are R3's Corda, Hyperledger Fabric, and Ethereum. And again, as we've explained, and it's starting to come out more in the news as we're like months ahead of the regular news articles because our research goes so deep, you have these guys working together, and it's starting to get more popular out into the public realm instead of just in the deep research. But you have XRP, XLM, and Ethereum. XLM can do the same as XRP. They're focused on a different lane. But XLM, the Stellar system, has the smart contracts. R3 or XRP and Ripple are now partnering up with Ethereum, so now they're going to have smart contracts as well. Alright guys, last thought of this video. Across the sea of space, the stars are other suns. My thought that I want to share with you when I read this, I thought it was perfect. Because after this big video, you see how massive the opportunity is for XRP and XLM. Obviously, I believe XRP because it's my favorite, and it is by design designed to move a higher value and be a higher price. So of course it is my favorite. My thought is this: we're already up in the rocket ship ready to launch to the moon. My thoughts are this: when you launch into space and you become the next superstar from your success, don't forget to shine down in someone else's universe and be the star for them. And don't be afraid to give back from your success. Help others who will then be where you used to be. Much love to all of you guys, and remember, this is not financial advice. It is for entertainment purposes only, and we will catch you in the next one.